بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رضي الله عنهم ورضوا عنه ذلك الفوز العظيم. صدق الله العظيم. Alhamdulillah. Today we will be briefly discussing the life of Ali Radhiyallahu anhu, the fourth Sahabi on the list of the 10 that were guaranteed Jannah. Last week we went through the life of Uthman Radhiyallahu anhu, and we went quite long, and subhanallah, we can never do justice to the life of this Sahaba Radhiyallahu anhum. One thing we need to realize, that Sahaba Radhiyallahu anhum were also humans like me and you. But subhanallah, what was so special in their life, that Allah became so happy with them, that whilst in this world they were guaranteed Jannah. What was so special? So last week, regarding Uthman Radhiyallahu anhu, we went through 4 or 5 of his qualities that would have been so beloved to Allah, that due to which Allah has guaranteed upon the Prophet ﷺ's tongue Jannah. His generosity, his haya, modesty, his cleanliness, his love for Rasul ﷺ, his love for Quran, to the extent that he passed away reading Quran. He will be resurrected on the day of Qiyamah reading Quran. So today inshallah we will be discussing the life of Ali Radhiyallahu anhu very very briefly. Ali Radhiyallahu anhu became a Muslim very young. He was the cousin of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. His father was Abu Talib, who was looking after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam after his grandfather passed away at the age of when the Prophet ﷺ was 8 years old. So he stayed with Abu Talib, who didn't become Muslim. Allah hadn't written for him. He wanted to, but till the end the Prophet ﷺ was trying. But we know the incident. The ulama, they mentioned that we shouldn't mention this incident too much. The reason being is that our a'mal are presented to Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and when this incident, every time it comes in front of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he feels the pain that my uncle passed away and he didn't take the shahada. So we shouldn't mention it too much. But Ali Radhiyallahu anhu, his son became Muslim, and his other son Ja'far Radhiyallahu anhu became Muslim. His other son Aqil became Muslim. So most of his children became Muslim. Ali Radhiyallahu anhu was the youngest among them. And from a young age he was with Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Uthman Radhiyallahu anhu says that I remember the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and with him there were only 2-3 people, meaning very very early days. There was Abu Bakr Radhiyallahu anhu, Zayd ibn Haritha Radhiyallahu anhu, and Ali Radhiyallahu anhu. Just 2-3. And Ali Radhiyallahu anhu was a young boy. And in terms of his appearance, in terms of his body, he was a very short person. Even when he became older, he grew up, he still didn't have a very high, a good height. He was still a very short person compared to other Sahaba Radhiyallahu anhum. But subhanallah, being such short person, he was also from amongst the most strongest among them. Very strong. To the extent that the door of Khaybar, the Prophet ﷺ in the occasion of Khaybar, he said that this flag, I will be giving this to that person tomorrow who loves Allah and Allah loves him as well. But he didn't name him. So every Sahabi, they were wishing, I wish I am that person who the Prophet of Allah gives the flag to. I wish I am that person. Why? Not because I can get a position, but because the Prophet of Allah says that Allah loves him as well. So the next day, Umar Radhiyallahu Anhu said, I never felt ever in my life wishing for position except for that day. And this was due to that same reason, that I know I love Allah, but does Allah love me? I just wanted to see, maybe if I get this position, it is a sign that Allah loves me. Anyway, ذَلِكَ فَضْلُ اللَّهِ يُؤْتِيهِ مَنْ يَشَاءُ. The blessing of Allah, Allah gives it to whomever He wishes. The next day, the Prophet ﷺ, he called Ali Radhiyallahu Anhu. Ali Radhiyallahu Anhu had problem in his eyes. And we learn from many incidents that he used to have problems in his eyes quite regularly. So he had problems in his eyes. He had like an eye infection and everything. So the Prophet ﷺ took some of his saliva, read some Bismillah and some dua, and put it on his eyes, and he became healthy. And the Prophet ﷺ gave him the flag. And Allah gave them the conquest of Khaybar on his hands. The conquest of Khaybar changed many things. It became a door of many things being opened. A lot of treasures came to Medina Munawwara, and subhanallah, on one side you had the conquest of Makkah, and on one side you had the conquest of Khaybar. It was amazing. Through the conquest of Makkah, you had a lot of people coming into Islam, and through the conquest of Khaybar, you had a lot of treasure that came into Islam. So, personals came into Islam and wealth came into Islam. Allah is helping people, and this is all happening in the last 2 years of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's life. And it's just amazing. Sometimes we do work for maybe 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, then we give up. So I'm not seeing any results. The Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, for good 20, 21 years, he never saw much results. Making effort upon effort upon effort. His whole life he has given. Sahaba are getting martyred. His family are staying hungry. So many sacrifices that is being given, but there's no results being shown. You cannot see anything outcome. Only in the last 2 years of his life he started seeing some things happening. Conquest of Makkah, conquest of Khaybar, these few things. So as Muslims, and there were many Sahaba Radhiyallahu Anhum, they only saw sacrifice in their life. They never saw any, you can say so-called good days that we say in this world. Otherwise for a Muslim, every condition is good. So Ali Radhiyallahu Anhu, when the Prophet ﷺ migrated to Medina Munawwara, he put Ali Radhiyallahu Anhu in his bedding. And this is also, we understand the honesty of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that he is leaving Makkah Mukarramah and he is being forced to leave. He doesn't want to leave, but he is being forced to leave Makkah Mukarramah, and he's crying and he's got tears in his eyes. And then he sings, Ya Makkah, O Makkah, Ma atyabaki min balad, how pure you are. If my qawm hadn't taken me out of you, I would never have gone out of you. And then as they are walking away from Makkah al-Mukarramah going to Medina Munawwara, they come across a junction, 3 roads. So he asked the guide that, where does this road go? So he said, this is another road going back to Makkah. So as the name of Makkah came, he started crying again. That's how much love he had. So if it was us in that situation, somebody said, we wouldn't have bothered, looking. But this is the honesty of Islam. You have a religious issue with somebody, that shouldn't spoil your moral and your trust with anybody else. So although these are the same people who are taking you out of Makkah, but their trust which you have should be returned back to them. That's another issue. And the Prophet ﷺ, he kept Ali Radhiyallahu Anhu in his bed, and he told him, O Ali, stay here for 3 days. This is all the trust that belongs to all these people, and then come and meet me at such and such a place in the cave, because the Prophet ﷺ stayed 3 days in the cave, so they come to and see me in the cave. Ali Radhiyallahu Anhu said, that was the best sleep in my life. Because on one side, somebody told him, oh Ali, but how can that be the best sleep when you know the enemies were just surrounding your house and they could have killed you? So he said, the Prophet of Allah told me that you will meet me after 3 days. They could never have killed me. Something which the Prophet, so much faith in the words of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Allah give us such iman. His iman, that is why you have Ali fil Jannah, due to his level of iman. Today when we listen to the words of Allah, the words of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, how much faith do we have on it? How much does it affect us? Ali Radhiyallahu Anhu, when he came to Madinah Munawwarah, he was around 20, 22 years of age. So now the daughter of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Fatima Radhiyallahu Anha, she was also of an age where she was going to get married. So now many different Sahaba Radhiyallahu Anhu was proposing. Few months ago we did the lesson on the marriage of Ali Radhiyallahu Anhu and Fatima Radhiyallahu Anha. So different Sahaba came, they proposed. The Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam just said that wait for Allah's decision. Then when Ali Radhiyallahu Anhu came and proposed, then the Prophet of Allah became happy, started smiling. He said, this is what I was waiting for. This is what my Allah has commanded me. And so simple nikah. Just yesterday, I don't know if any of you seen the message going around. He said today the wedding is 10,000 pounds, then the car, then the hall, then the honeymoon, going to another continent in a 5-star hotel, this, that. Even then people are not happy. Ali Radhiyallahu Anhu is saying that when I got married, I didn't even have, a bedding to myself properly. So simple nikah, but subhanallah, it was the house of Jannah. It was the home of Jannah. Sayyida Shababi Ahlil Jannah. His son Hassan, Hussein Radhiyallahu Anhu, his wife Fatima Radhiyallahu Anha, the family of Jannah. Ali Radhiyallahu Anhu, he was a very, very knowledgeable person. Ocean of knowledge. The ulama, they mention that if you were to gather the knowledge of all the Sahaba Radhiyallahu Anhum put together, it would come down to 2 people. Meaning, what you would find in all the Sahaba, you had it in these 2 people. One was Ali Radhiyallahu Anhu, and number 2, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud Radhiyallahu Anhu. That is why the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said to Ali, O Ali, ana madinatul ilm, I am the city of knowledge, you are the door. And subhanallah, sometimes we put something in a computer. Today, we have all these apps and all these programs and all these things. And sometimes we put some equations in on the Excel or on some program to get it calculated or to get something to see the results of it. And sometimes it takes a while. Ali Radhiyallahu Anhu in some ways was even sharper than a computer today. So a person, he came to Ali Radhiyallahu Anhu with a long question. He said, my father passed away. It was a woman. He said, my father passed away, and I was only given 1 dirham in inheritance. So Ali Radhiyallahu Anhu immediately, without any delay, in that case you must have had so many brothers, so many sisters, so many, your father must have left behind so many brothers, so many sisters. And that woman was shocked. He said, that's exactly what you have mentioned. She said, you deserve that 1 dirham. That's it. Because if you work out the whole shares, this is how much it comes out to. That is why the Prophet ﷺ here in every khutbah, وَأَقْضَاهُمْ عَلِي. When it comes to making the best judgments, best decisions, you couldn't find anybody better than Ali Radhiyallahu Anhu. His mind, when it came to making decisions, he was very sharp. And this only came by staying in the company of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Ali Radhiyallahu Anhu, he was a person in this world, yet he was a person who had nothing, no connection with the world. Zadar ibn Zabuna Kanani says that Ali Radhiyallahu Anhu, I saw him in the darkness of the night in the masjid of Kufa. He's crying in front of Allah. And he says, "Oh the world, you are trying to deceive me. I have nothing to do with you. I have divorced you. Ya Safra, Ya Bayda, O yellow, O white," meaning gold and silver. Meaning, what is this gold and silver? It's just a color. People are dying over it, people are killing each other over it. You say it's only a color. Then he starts crying, and he starts rubbing his beard, and he says, "Wow, min qillati zad, the luggage is so little. Wa bu'd as-safar, the journey is so far, so long. Wa wahshat at-tariq, oh Ali, what's going to happen to you? How are you going to make it till Jannah?" Who is saying this? Ali Radhiyallahu Anhu, who the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, "O Ali, ama taghda an takuna manzilatuk maqam manzili fil Jannah." Or kama qala alayhi salatu wasalam. "O Ali, are you not happy that your house will be exactly opposite my house in Jannah?" He's already got a house there, but he's worried that what's going to happen to me in the journey, what's going to happen to me. I've got so little. In this world, he lived right next to Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and in Jannah he's also right next to Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. If you look at the plan, the pictures today of the houses of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, so his house was there, and then he had like an open space, and then it was the house of Ali Radhiyallahu Anhu, Fatima Radhiyallahu. So whenever the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam wanted to, look at the house or, look at the children, he would just, open the curtain, and he could see the children right next to the house of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So this was his whole life. And even in the Akhirah, subhanallah, he is right next to Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Then they had issues between Ali Radhiyallahu Anhu and Muawiyah Radhiyallahu Anhu towards the end of the life. And these are things which we don't need to go too much into. Many people, they make this the biggest issue. We are not in this world to debate, into all these issues. Mufti Mahmud Sahib Rahmatullah Alayhi used to mention that, for example, if your grandfather and his brother, meaning grandfather's brother, were fighting, they were having an argument, and you went and you started shouting at your grandfather's brother, and you started saying that, why are you shouting, why are you having an argument with my grandfather? Then your own grandfather will turn around and say, slap you one. So how this is our personal issue. You as a grandson, you need to respect both of us. How dare you say like this to my brother? We may have issues. So they had issues. We are not in any position to say anything. As Muslims, our iman is, we look at all the Sahaba as great. We look at all the Sahaba in high esteem. That is why the ulama, they mention that three people's argument we should never get involved in. Three people's argument we should never get involved in. We should try our best not to get involved in any argument, but three people's argument, it could have effect on our iman. One is the arguments of Sahaba Radhiyallahu Anhu. They are both Radhiyallahu Anhum. Ali Radhiyallahu Anhu and Muawiyah Radhiyallahu Anhu. They already Radhiyallahu Anhu. Listen. So, we shouldn't get involved. Number two, the arguments of parents, because they both Jannah. On one side you have, mother, Jannah lies under their feet. On one side you have the father, the door to Jannah. So you cannot take sides. They both Jannah. And number three, ulama. You should never get involved in the arguments of the ulama, because they both inheritors of the prophets. You say anything against one of them at the cost of the other, you are spoiling your own iman. Allah save us. Ali Radhiyallahu Anhu, he used to love Quran, to the extent that he used to be mounting on his camel, and he used to finish Quran within few moments. He used to just be so swift in reading Quran, so quick in reading Quran. Quran used to be literally flowing on his tongue. Allah give us such love for Quran. Today, just yesterday, I was telling the students, I said, when we are traveling, we are going home, we are going somewhere, we are traveling on our bus, we are walking, we should make a habit of reading Quran. Make a habit. I remember once we were going somewhere, it was a 2-hour journey. The driver, he was Hafiz of the Quran. I think in that 2-hour journey, he must have read at least 7 or 8 parts of the Quran. Then there's one incident of a pilot. Allah knows if he's still driving or retired. He used to be driving a plane from London to Africa, 10, 12-hour flight, Hafiz of the Quran. So when he used to start the plane, take off from here, London, then he used to start the Quran. Before they used to land, he used to finish the Quran. 10, 12 hours, one khatam done. Allah give us such love for Quran. Today we use our time in useless things so much that in the things that will take us to Jannah, in the things that will weigh heavily on our good deeds, we don't find time for it. We are wasting our time, on social media, WhatsApp messages, all these things, which is not going to weigh anything on the scale. In fact, it could weigh heavily on the other side of the scale. Allah save us. And if we plan our day, that this half an hour, I will cut everything out of my life. No social media, off the phone, everything finished. It will only be me and my Quran, me and my Allah. This 10 minutes, just the dhikr, me and my Allah. This 10-15 minutes, me and my dua. Then you will see how, nourished a person will feel. Today we feel empty. We have a lot, we eat a lot, we sleep a lot. We have everything at home, our houses are full. We have everything, we've got no shortage, but still we feel empty. Why? Because we are not looking after our spirituality. We are not looking after, we are not feeding our soul the Quran it needs. We are not feeding our soul the dhikr it needs. We are not feeding our soul the dua it needs. Allah give us understanding. We don't have a tea in the morning, a cup of tea. We feel out of place. But we don't read Quran for days. But we don't feel anything. Because that is our spirituality is dying day by day. Towards the end of Ali Radhiyallahu Anhu's life, he moved the capital from Medina Munawwara to Kufa. And the whole reason he moved the capital from Medina, a lot of people started, having arguments and had political issues. And he never wanted Medina Munawwara and the sanctity, the honor of Medina Munawwara to be compromised in any way. So the people come to Medina for political issues, people come to Medina for arguments, people come to Medina for bloodshed like they have already done with the blood of Uthman Radhiyallahu Anhu. Then Medina, it will not remain honorable anymore. The whole honor of Medina will be at stake. So he shifted it to Kufa. He said the politics can remain elsewhere. Medina should be Medina. Medina should be pure. Medina should be a place where people come just to connect themselves with Allah and His Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So that is why he shifted the capital. He was killed, he was assassinated towards the end of his life at the age of 62 or 63 by a person called Ibn Muljam. He was in the Masjid of Kufa and a person, he stabbed him really deep. And 2 days later, it was the month of Ramadan, 40 after Hijrah, 40 Hijrah. Some ulama they mention it was the 19th of Ramadan. Some ulama they mention it was the 21st of Ramadan. And that is when he left this world. Ali Radhiyallahu Anhu, what's his life teaching us? His life teaching us that always do things to please Allah. Always use your strength for the deen of Allah. Always use your time for the deen of Allah. No matter what happens to you at home. On one side, Ali Radhiyallahu Anhu The Prophet ﷺ comes home, and his daughter says, he knocks at his daughter's house. So Fatima Radhiyallahu anha says that, oh my father, who else is with you? She said, Imran ibn Hussein. She said, you can come in, but he can't come in. She said, why? She said, I don't have enough cloth to cover my body. I don't have enough cloth to veil, to do parda from Imran. So Prophet ﷺ, he took one of his cloth shirt out, sent the cloth inside, and he said, cover yourself with this. Then he went inside the house. Fatima Radhiyallahu anha is crying. He said, oh my father, it's been 3 days, I haven't hardly had anything to eat. So the Prophet ﷺ is saying, oh my daughter, do sabr, Jannah is for you. The Prophet ﷺ didn't tell Ali Radhiyallahu anhu, oh Ali, you are not looking after my daughter? My daughter is hungry for the last 2 or 3 days. Can you not give her some proper food? Why? Ali Radhiyallahu anhu was busy. Ali Radhiyallahu anhu was busy with the work of deen. Still, this is happening in the right way. Although, we need to balance it out as well. But they were, Sahaba Radhiyallahu anhu, they were sacrificed, they were on the high level of sacrifice. It wasn't as if the Prophet of Allah had no feelings. He had feelings. He was the most merciful. He could even feel the pain of animals, to the extent that he found out that Ali Radhiyallahu anhu is planning to get married again to the daughter of Abu Jahl. Somebody else proposed that Ali, you should get married to the daughter of Abu Jahl. So the Prophet of Allah, we can understand his feeling. He got on the minbar and he says, the Prophet of Allah ﷺ said that Ali is planning to get married to the daughter of Abu Jahl, who was the enemy of Allah. He had passed away by then. If he does, then he should remember that the daughter of the enemy of Allah and the daughter of the Prophet of Allah will never stay together. So he had feelings, because there Ali Radhiyallahu anhu wanted to get married for whatever reason, which wasn't entirely to do with deen. So the Prophet of Allah was very passionate, and but this here, Ali Radhiyallahu anhu was very busy in the work of deen. So the Prophet ﷺ is telling his daughter, do sabr, do sabr. Allah give us such understanding, Allah give us such iman, Allah give us such qualities. This is the brief, just a touch on the life of Ali Radhiyallahu anhu. Otherwise, books and books in volumes have been written just on his life. Just a few minutes of lesson will not do any justice. Allah give us understanding. Inshallah, like I mentioned, that sometime in the future we will try to do a whole series on the life of Abu Bakr Radhiyallahu anhu, a whole series on the life of Umar Radhiyallahu anhu, a whole series on the life of all the Sahaba Radhiyallahu anhum. Just one aspect of the life, is like a lecture on its own. Allah give us understanding. Inshallah, next week we will go through the life of the other Sahabi, Abdurrahman ibn Auf Radhiyallahu anhu, who is the next on the list, on the 10 that were guaranteed Jannah. May Allah first of all give me the understanding, give all of us the understanding. Ameen wa sallallahu wa sallam ala rasulina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.